is the 5-minute countdown to Skynet. 5 minutes, T-minus 5 minutes.
This is the W5FC repeater, PL110.9. Afterglow Movie Net, Saturday, 10:30 p.m., W5FC.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes. At the mark, T-minus 60 seconds.
Hardly wait. Cap have GRH.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to use a repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is KF5JHA. At Mission Control in Louisville, the staff there is wearing an orange plane on a t-shirt, so I'm sure they're all ready to go. This is KF5JHA, this is Chaz, and I'll be your net control for this station of the DAOC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night since the spring of 2012. At 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime sky, the daytime sky, astronomy, space, and other things in that regard. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter this net at any time by using the # sign, break, and then your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic right now? Your net control is going to be very distracted since the Ohio State-Penn State game is tied at 17-all, and it's in the third quarter. Let's see now. Oh, this is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on a frequency of 146.88 megahertz with a private line tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible with W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics: astronomy. Pictures, live audio, video links are available online. Go to w5fc.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of the Amateur Radio Club of Dallas to participate. This net is usually about 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, National Space Society events. The discussion topic of the evening was space exploration and space history, Constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, visible satellite passages, and if we have time, astronomical Q&A. We try to cover most of these every week. Once again, all amateurs licensed to transmit on their frequency are invited to check in. I should have said cool evening before I started. Oh, well. Well, let's start with low power and short time check-ins. Now, I only do this about 4 times a year, so I'm going to ask you to do something that we normally not do. I want you to come in groups of 3s. I want you to give your call sign phonetically and slowly with your name and your location. So come now. If you are low power or short time, slowly and phonetically.
Kilo India 5 Kilo Romeo Papa, that's KI5 KRP. Name here is Chris, and I'm in Kaufman right now.
Kilo X-Ray 7 Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Sean, mobile from Grand Prairie.
This is
Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus, far northeast Dallas is W5GUS.
Okay, that's our first three. Let's pause there for a moment. I recognize KI5, KRP, KX7, WTF, that would be Sean, W5GUS, that's the Gus. And I'm sorry, I didn't tell you, Chris, that I recognized you by name, but I did recognize you by call sign. Okay, any more low power or short time check-ins? Please come now slowly with your phonetic call sign and your name and your location.
Whiskey 5, Whiskey November Romeo, Wayne, Mobile on Dallas North Tollway.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Louisville.
With November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
Okay, that's another three, so let's stop right there. Wayne, I didn't get your complete call sign. W5, and I've got a W and an N, but I'm not sure which one goes where. Could you repeat your call sign, please, Wayne?
That is Whiskey 5, Whiskey November Romeo.
Thank you. I had everything except the Romeo at the end. Thank you. And I recognize Tom and Tony. All right. Come now. Once again, this is just for low power and short time check-ins. Your call sign and your name and your location.
This is Kilo India 5 Golf Romeo Hotel, Melissa, Dallas, on my front porch swing.
This is KG5AHJ, that's Kilo Golf 5, Alpha Hotel, Juliet, Frank, and Euless.
Okay, then that recognizes Melissa, KN5GRH, and Frank, KG5AHJ. Thank you so much. Now, I need to calm this audio down on my Echo Link. And come now, if you are just a regular radio frequency and RF check-in, thank you once again for doing your call signs phonetically and slowly, and your name and your location. We're going to do these in groups of three, so the next three, please come now.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
This is Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carolyn.
Thank you so much. The net recognizes K5KTX, Kelly, AA5AH, Robert, and KG5 WVG, I believe, is James. I'm trying to read my own handwriting. Once again, come now in groups of three with your call sign, slowly, phonetically, your name, and your location.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. Name is Brenda, I'm in DeSoto.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill Farmers Branch.
Oh, I hope we're not still at 14. That's what I have right now. Brenda and Bill, and that recognizes both of you. Okay, tell you what, we're going to go over to Echolink and see if we can get some of those people that are sitting over there that haven't checked in yet to check in. I see Timothy, Huey, Andrea, Brent. Hey, come now with your call sign. If you're on Echolink, I'll give you plenty of time to check in. Give me your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location.
Control. Control, this is Kilo Charlie 3 Charlie Delta Uniform. Kilo Charlie 3 Charlie Delta Uniform. Timothy in New Florence, Pennsylvania.
Fox 5, Tango Hotel Bravo, Brent near Henrietta. Back to net control.
Number 5, Alpha Bravo Alpha, Andre in Greenville.
Then that recognizes Timothy, KC5, CDU, Brent, KF5, THB, and Andre, N5ABA. Andre, are you Greenville, Texas? Greenville, North Carolina? Where are you located? What state?
I apologize. This is N5ABA Andre in Greenville, Texas. I used to reside in Dallas, but moved out to Greenville. This is N5ABA.
Thank you so much. And Timothy, you and I are adversaries for a little while longer. There's still time left on the Ohio State-Penn State game, so we're adversaries for a few more minutes anyway. All right. Any mode, any location. Come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're located. Please do it slowly because I only do this about 4 times a year.
This is WD4MFI Whiskey Bravo number 4 Mike Foxtrot India. Name is Ted, Dallas, Texas. 4th quarter, UNC 27, Notre Dame 31.
Good evening. This is Alpha Golf 9er, Sierra Golf, Antonio in Dallas, AG9SG.
I double with the other gentleman. Kilo 5 Golf Lima Delta, Randy Frowlett.
Okay, Randy, I didn't catch where you're from. Could you repeat that, please?
I'm in Rowlett, K5GLD.
Thank you, Randy. Antonio and Ted recognized you too. Ted, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's watching a football game and trying to be on the Skynet at the same time. Thank you so much. Okay, one more round of check-ins before we continue on. Any mode, radio frequency, Echolink, smoke signals. I'm not sure if I know how to read those, but come now with your call sign phonetically and your name and your location, please.
This is KG5WVL, recheck.
Was that KG5VL, I believe?
No, KG5WVL, recheck.
Oh, go ahead.
Earlier, I was going to give you my full call sign phonetically. It's Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Victor Lima.
Well, I believe that's James, isn't it?
Roger.
Thank you, James. Actually, I did get your full call sign. I'm not sure if you gave it phonetically or not, but thank you so much for coming back again. All right. I think we're going to continue on. So let's see now. Let's get started with Skynet since we've done all the check-ins. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? It can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed ham. Come now with your call sign if you have any general announcements.
W5GUS.
Oh, I was disappointed I didn't hear Tony in there. Gus, go ahead with your announcement, please.
All right, Chaz, thank you. W5GUS here. It's kind of a point of interest for people that are interested in astrophotography. There is a place here in Dallas called Dallas Center for Photography. I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but they are going to offer a one-night, I guess it'd be a course, December the 1st, Wednesday, December 1st. There's a guy, astronomer, named Jim Pollock, Pollock, in Colorado, and he will be setting up a live image in his backyard there in Colorado, and from 7 to 9 p.m. our time, and he'll be a live image of the Orion Nebula and a couple other things for instruction, just so people. It'll be on Zoom, I believe, so. People can call in and ask questions about his setup, his cameras, as telescope, everything he's doing there. So that will be Wednesday, December the 1st. And for more information, you can contact or look at the website of Dallas Center for Photography.org. And it's all one word, Dallas Center for Photography.org. They do all kind of different courses and photography things, and this is one on astrophotography. Back to net, W5GUS.
Thank you, Gus. Dallas Center for Photography.org. Wednesday, December the 1st, an astrophotography live, probably on Zoom, from 7 to 9 p.m. our local time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right. Are there any other announcements?
November Tango 5, Tango Mike. I'm slow.
Ornery, but that's okay. Tony, you're up.
Well, I don't have anything as cool as that, and wow, that sounds amazing. Dallas Center for Photography. I just have some very routine things I want to mention to folks. Both the Dallas Turkey Trot and the Dallas Marathon are in need of volunteers. If you head over to w5fc.org, you will find ways to sign up. Just scroll down a little. Both events would love your help. There's just really no limit to the number of amateur volunteers that we can use at either event. If we get twice as many people as we need, that just means that everyone has a buddy. So it's really very easy. Doesn't matter if you have experience, you can be a leader. If you don't have experience, you can be a follower. Both the Dallas YMCA and the Dallas Marathon need your help. Head over to w5sc.org. And I'm still fascinated by astrophotography. Other things, I guess, we do have Max Headroom coming up on the Afterglow movie discussion tonight at about 10:30-ish. I haven't seen it, but I'm at least going to listen. So, please volunteer. We need your support. Watch the movie if you have time. And I hope to hear you on the CQ Worldwide SSB contest. This is going on right now. You don't get any points for contacts in your home country. Your goal is to find people who are far away, going on all night and into tomorrow morning. NT5TM.
Thank you, Tony. And JJ, my title is not Sir. I have not been knighted by the Queen, but I usually try to get my students to call me Czar. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Echolink. If you're not on Echolink and watching the video of Tom staring at his screens on YouTube, then you're missing part of Skynet. You've got to do all three simultaneously. Thank you, Tony. I didn't want to be disappointed. Thanks. Okay, let me see. Let me do a couple of announcements really quickly. The AMSAT, the Amateur Radio Satellite Group, has 2 nets available to the Dallas residents on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time. You will need Echolink installed, and you need to be registered with Echolink. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT, A-M-S-A-T. Also, live audio link is available on their website, amsatnet.com. This net originates from Houston, Texas. The Dallas AMSAT net East, there's an East and a West, and Dallas and Fort Worth is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on this repeater, 146.88, private line tone 110.9 on Tuesdays. Tom, N5HYP is net control. All are welcome to check in. First Tuesday of the month is DIRC Club Night, so no AMSAT East that night. Dallas AMSAT West is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz, private line tone 110.9, positive offset. Let's see now. We have lots of other nets on this frequency. Let me cover a few of those over the next few moments. Mondays, we have lots of different nets. The first week of the month, we have Hams Fixin' Net, and also on the third week, we have Hams Fixin' Net. On the second week, we have Ecom 101, that's on Mondays. On the fourth week on Mondays, we have GeekNet, and if there's a fifth Monday, that's a surprise net. I can't tell you because it's a surprise. Tuesdays, there's AMSAT East at 8 p.m. Already talked about that. Fridays, we have the most accident-prone city in the world, probably the universe. It's Surt City. Yeah, Melissa knows all about this. She's the host, isn't it? I think it's still at 8 p.m. You can learn about emergency radio communications, Surt-trained amateur radio operators. Melissa already said is KI5GRH. She's usually the net control. And it's a fun net. If you've never checked in, you need to. So I haven't done it for a while, so I need to do that. Saturdays, TechNet at 7 to 8 p.m., and of course Skynet at 9. And on the first and third Saturdays, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air, MOTA. That I believe is at 7 to okay. That isn't that on Sundays? Yes, Sundays. Okay. I miss Sundays. Okay, AARLnet is daily at 6:30 p.m. on this repeater. Okay. Next thing on my script is tonight's Afterglow info. Tom, can you help us out with that?
Oh, sure, Chaz. Let me give you the highly detailed and accurate synopses of tonight's Afterglow movie net. The advertising department sat at a circular table and tossed another 3-ring binder on top of the other 3-ring binders stacked on the table. All of them looked tired and disoriented. So did the people tossing them on the table. The leader spoke. What are we going to do? We've done advertising for dumb TV viewers before and cleaned up with cute animals, smart-ass kids, Sally Struthers doing whatever Sally Struthers does, driverless cars, infectious music themes, water slides, supermodels, dance numbers, sonic boom sounds, and of course, puppets. Everyone used to love puppets, but not anymore. The advertisers looked at each other, shrugged, and stared at the leader. It was obvious this was going nowhere. Suddenly, a junior member of the group, some 15-year-old, spoke up. Well, I might have an idea. Ever since I was found as a small child in the television electronics section of Sears, I wanted to make a mark on the advertising world. The others leaned into the table as the young person spoke further. I recommend we create a cartoon-like character. He can hawk products like Coca-Cola and Ford Mavericks. People will think he's so cute, they will do everything they can to buy the product in question, or a questionable product. One of the other advertisers spoke. You have a great idea. Ever since Sally Struthers moved into my house, I haven't had a good idea, and this rocks. We call this cute animal character Max Headroom. And thus was born the new advertising idea, Coke approved. Join us for the TV pilot, Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future, tonight at 10:30, and 20 minutes into the future. Back to you, Chaz, KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. You know, these are really accurate synopses. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, I do need to have my head examined. That's true. I'm going to actually recognize 3 more people over here at Echolink. They haven't checked in by audio, but I've got Huey, KF5LL. I've got John, KG5ZWF, and JJ, N5IMS. I'm checking all of you in, whether you like it or not. You're already on the list. That way, it puts us up to 23 people. Okay, the next thing on my list is the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas. We usually call on Chaz. Oh, wait, that's me. Oh, that's KF5JHA. Okay. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas club meeting will be held on Friday, November the 19th. It's usually on the 4th Friday, but it's going to be on the 3rd Friday in November because 4th Friday is usually after Thanksgiving, and we do this the Friday before Thanksgiving. At 7:30 p.m., November the 19th. It'll be a Zoom meeting. Hopefully we'll get the live in-person meeting sometime in the future. The event will be a swap meet. In other words, if you have something to sell or if you want to buy something, join the meeting. Task Club members will receive a Zoom Echo meeting to the Zoom meeting. And let's see, public observing sessions on Saturday nights have been placed on hold because of COVID. One of the reasons that Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights was so that there could be an opportunity for live reports from the TASS public observing sessions that are also held on Saturday nights, but that's not been happening. TexasAstro.org is the website to get information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. Okay. Next, I have on the list is the National Space Society events and activities. Bill, N5BB, but I don't see him on my list. He's not listed as checked in yet, but Bill, are you here? If you are, please come now with your information from the National Space Society. I think I know where he is. He's somewhere else detained. He's watching the Afterglow movie live and in person from a backyard around a fire, probably with s'mores being cooked. Oh, man. Go to, for National Space Society of North Texas, go to their website, NSSOFNT, it's abbreviation for National Space Society of North Texas.org, and you can get all sorts of information from there. Okay, that's it for that one. Okay, there's some sort of featured topic or something tonight. It's done by the Net Control. Oh, that's me. Oh, okay. Slide Masters, can you switch to slide number 1, please? Thank you. The topic is about Halloween. Samhain, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, so I'm probably messing it up, means summer's end. It's celebrated as today's Halloween. Many historians believe that it served as the start of a new year in the Celtic calendar. New Year's Day, if you would, or the New Year's Eve. It was a day when the cattle were brought in from pasture. Those needing for the winter supply of meat would be slaughtered. Since this was the night or near or death night of the old year, it became associated with ghosts and graveyards. During this dark time of the year, it's believed that spirits of the dead wandered from sunset until midnight. Then after midnight, the ghosts are said to go back to rest. Also, Halloween, which is short for All Hallows Eve, is another religious holiday as well as an astronomical holiday. In the year 1517, on October the 31st, Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses on the door of the Catholic Church with explained grievances that he had with the church. But Halloween is also a cross-quarter day. The cross-quarter days fall more or less midway between the equinoxes and the solstices. Halloween, October 31st, is approximately midway between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. In other words, in traditional astronomy, there are 8 major seasonal subdivisions of the year. They include the March and September equinoxes, the June and December solstices, and the intervening 4 cross-quarter days. Slide number 2, please. In modern times, the 4 cross-quarter days are often marked, called Groundhog Day, February 2nd, May Day, May 1st, Lammas in August. That actually means loaf mass. It refers to the bread and mass of the Holy Communion. And the most sinister of the cross-quarter days is Halloween. Okay. Now, for us in the Northern Hemisphere, Halloween is the darkest of the cross-quarter days, coming of the time of the year when the days are growing shorter. After midnight on November 1st, it's called All Saints' Day. Slide number 3, please. October 31st date for Halloween has been fixed by tradition. The true cross-quarter day falls right around November the 7th, representing a discrepancy of about a week. According to ancient Celtic culture, a cross-quarter day marks the beginning, not the middle, of a season. In other words, it may have been the beginning of their calendar. It's thought that one of these early forebears of Halloween happened on the night that the Pleiades star cluster culminated at midnight. Slide number 4, please. In other words, the Pleiades, that's what's pictured over on YouTube if you're watching the video, climbed to its highest point in the sky at midnight on or near the same date as the cross-quarter day. In our day, Halloween is fixed on October the 31st. Though the midnight culmination of the Pleiades cluster now occurs on November 21st. Presuming the supposed connection between this holiday and midnight culmination of the Pleiades, the two events took place on or near the same date in the 11th century or the 12th century. This was several centuries before the introduction of the Gregorian calendar. Oh, this is getting to be a mess already, isn't it? Slide number 5. At the time when the Julian calendar was used, the cross-quarter day and the midnight culmination of the Pleiades fell, amazingly enough, on or near October 31st. But then the Julian calendar was about 1 week out of step with the seasons. Had the Gregorian calendar been used back then, the date of the cross-quarter day celebration would have been November the 7th. The switch from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar is an entire another topic, and I've actually covered that in a past Skynet sometime several years ago. Slide number 6, please. But Halloween is now fixed on October 31st. Meanwhile, the true cross-quarter day now falls around November the 7th. I've only said that, I think, twice. And midnight culmination of the Pleiades star cluster, and again, I've said this before, is November 21st. And that's due to the precession of the Earth's axis of rotation. We've talked about precession before as well. So the bottom line, Halloween, October 31st, marks the approximate midway point, the autumnal equinox, and the winter solstice. And Halloween is considered one of the year's 4 cross-quarter days. I've taken this information from 2 different locations, earthsky.org, and believe it or not, the website for the Old Farmer's Almanac, almanac.com. Hey, I love that publication. I have a copy of it myself. Okay, that's it for the moment. Let's see if we have any more check-ins right now for Skynet. Oops, I gotta find my writing utensil. Oh, there it is. Okay. If you want to check in and have not done so to Skynet, like Joe over on Echolink, KG5ZIX, I believe. Joe, if you want to check in by voice, you're welcome to do so right now. Okay, are there any other check-ins, either by radio or by Echolink? Please come now with your call sign phonetically and your name and your location. Clay, I see you popped up here. I'm going to check you in as well. But anybody else, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location.
Kilo Golf 5, Uniform Kilo Uniform. David, Mesquite.
David, I recognize you. Okay, let's see now. Guess what's up next is What's Up. That's usually done by Chaz, KF5JHA. Oh, I guess I'm beside myself again. All right, here we go. Yeah, this is Chaz. My degree is in astrophysics. I'm in charge of the astrophysics lab and geology lab at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus, and we do call this segment of Skynet What's Up. I'm up to slide number 8 now, Slide Master. On October the 28th, the moon was at its 3rd quarter phase. That was just a couple of nights ago. So the current phase of the moon is a waning crescent. Oh, I love those crescent rolls of Thanksgiving, don't you? The moon will be new on November the 4th. On November the 5th, the moon is at perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth. On November the 11th, the moon will be at its 1st quarter. And on November the 19th, the moon will be full, and there'll be a lunar eclipse. More on the lunar eclipse in just a few moments. Slide number 9, please. On November the 3rd, in the early morning sky, you can observe the conjunction of the moon, Mercury, and the star Spica. Yeah, I emphasize that for some reason. Later that day, around 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time, this is on November the 3rd, the moon will come so close to occulting or blocking the planet Mercury from our view. But this is a daytime sky. It depends on where you are on the metroplex. It might miss it, or the moon might block it. Since this is a daytime event, you'll need a telescope in order to observe this event. And also, because it's a daytime event, you need to make sure that you do not point your telescope at the sun. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 10, please. A few nights later, in the southwestern evening sky on November the 7th, the moon and Venus are in conjunction. Slide number 11, please. In the early morning southeastern sky on November the 10th, that's the same day, but just in the evening sky rather than the morning sky, Mercury and Mars will be less than 1 degree apart in this conjunction. Wow. Oh, that's the morning sky, excuse me. The evening sky, slide number 12, is the November 10th. The moon will be in between Jupiter and Saturn in the southwestern sky. Now we're up to slide number 13. On the night of November the 17th, 18th, the Leonid meteor shower peaks with about a few dozen meteors per hour, but could have as many as 400 meteors per hour or even more. The Leonid meteor shower is famous for having meteor storms every 33 years. The last storm was in the year, I think we had a storm 2 years, 1999 and the year 2000. The problem with watching the Leonid meteor shower this year is that the moon is close to being full, which will prevent fainter meteors in the shower from being seen. Slide Master, slide number 14, please. Early morning on Friday, November the 19th, there will be a partial lunar eclipse. Actually, this lunar eclipse is almost a total lunar eclipse. 97% of the moon will travel into the Earth's umbral shadow. For most people, they'll see this eclipse as a total eclipse, but it's not quite. The moon will enter the lighter part of the Earth shadow, called the penumbra, at 12:02 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's just 2 minutes after midnight, so this is early morning, Friday morning. This will be difficult to notice by most people, but at 1:19 a.m. Central Standard Time the moon begins to enter the darker part of the Earth shadow, called the umbra. At 3:04 a.m. Central Standard Time, a little bit over 97% of the moon will be inside the umbra, and this will be the middle of the eclipse and also the eclipse maximum. At 4:47 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon leaves the umbral shadow of the Earth, and at 6:04 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon leaves the penumbral shadow. But the last part of the eclipse won't really be visible from Dallas Metroplex because the sun is and the moon is setting. I hope it is clear early that morning. Slide number 15. There's another meteor shower on that night, the night of November 20th, 21st. The Alpha Monoceroids meteor shower will peak with a few, but sometimes it has more than 100 meteors per hour. But once again, the moon phase is close to full, so the fainter meteors will not be able to be observed. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 16. Once again, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on Friday, November the 19th. That's the night after the morning of the lunar eclipse. But the meeting is happening at 7:30 p.m. It'll be held on Zoom. It's a swap meet. It's pretty cool. Members will receive an email link to the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting. Also, public observing sessions have been put on hold because of the COVID. That's why we're still doing Zoom meetings at TAS. If you want to get more information about them, texasastro.org is where you can find that. Slide Masters, slide number 17, please. Now, do any of you out there in Radioland have any questions or need a fill on any of that information I've told you? Or do you have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I might know the answer to your question, or someone else here on the net might. Come now with your call sign if you have a question. Okay, slide now, Master, slide number 18. So as the moon wanes at the end of October, so do these words for the segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. Until next week's segment of What's Up, keep looking up so you know what's up. And once again, this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. And I'm supposed to say go back to net control so that net control can introduce space exploration and space history, but since that's me, I'm going to introduce Brenda, WB50ZL. Hey, I think It's your net for the few moments.
Thank you, Chaz. This is WB5OZL. All right, in news, Blue Origin, Boeing, and others joined Sierra Space to build commercial space station. The orbital real estate rush is just getting started as Sierra Space released more details on its plans to launch a private space station, with news that Blue Origin and Boeing would be joining the team to send the spacecraft to orbit in the second half of the decade. The planned station, called Orbital Reef, will also include tech and services from Redwire Space, Genesis Engineering, and Arizona State University. It's the third announced commercial space station to date, coming just days after Voyager Space, NanoRacks, and Lockheed Martin laid out their own plans for a commercial space station, which the group says will launch in 2027. Axiom Space is also planning a commercial station. Sierra Space originally announced its plans for a commercial space station in April of this year, part of the growing chorus of private companies looking to replace the soon-to-be-retired International Space Station. The company, a division of Sierra Nevada Corporation, has been developing a large inflatable LIFE, L-I-F-E, and that stands for Large Integrated Flexible Environment, Habitat, which will be used for Orbital Reef. This latest news builds on those earlier announced plans. Orbital Reef will operate as an off-world mixed-use business park. Blue Origin's Senior VP of Advanced Development Program, Brent Sherwood, said during a media event Monday. The space station could be used for many commercial purposes, including scientific research, manufacturing, media, entertainment, and tourism, he mused. Orbital Reef would be capable of hosting 10 people once fully operational, and its internal volume will be around 90% of the current volume of the ISS. Next, solar wings jammed on NASA spacecraft chasing asteroids. NASA is debating whether to try and fix a jammed solar panel on its newly launched Lucy spacecraft en route to explore an unprecedented number of asteroids. The problem cropped up shortly after the spacecraft's October 16th liftoff on a 12-year journey. After measuring the electric current this week, NASA reported Wednesday that one of Lucy's two giant circular solar panels is only between 75 and 95% extended. A lanyard is holding it in place. Any attempt at reopening the wing, which is 24 feet in diameter, would not occur before mid-November. So far, the problem has not affected Lucy's outbound flight, so there's no rush to figure out the next step, officials said. Everything else on the spacecraft, already 3.7 million miles away, is working properly. The mission's lead scientist, Hal Levinson of Southwest Research Institute, said the team is encouraged that the combined power of both solar panels is keeping the spacecraft healthy and functioning. It's too early to determine longer-range implications to the entire mission, Levinson said in an email Thursday. While the problem is concerning, our team is working this very diligently and carefully to find a workable solution. The nearly $1 billion mission seeks to explore 7 so-called Trojan asteroids that share Jupiter's orbit around the Sun and another space rock closer to home. Lucy should swoop within 600 miles of each target. Birthdays. October 25th, 1935, Rusty Schweikert. His name's actually Russell. And he flew on Apollo 9. Robert L. Gibson, October 30th, 1946, STS-41B, 61C, 2747, and 71. Zena Cardman, October 26, 1988, no flights as yet. Stephen Robinson, October 26, 1955, STS 85, 95, 114, and 130. Terry Hart, October 27, 1946, STS 41C. Sarah Magnus, October 30th, 1964, STS 112, STS 126/119, that's Expedition 18, and STS 135. Susan Gilrain, October 24th, 1961, STS 83 and 94. Ronald J. Guerin, Jr., October 30th, 1961, STS 124, Soyuz TMA-21, Expedition 2728. Stephen R. Nagel, October 27th, 1946, STS 51G, 61A, 37, and 55. Michael A. Baker, October 27th, 1953, STS 43, 52, 68, and 81. All right, this week in history, October 24th, 1946, the first photo of Earth taken above the Von line from a U.S. Army V-2 launched from White Sands, New Mexico, altitude 65 miles. The image, and I hope you can see it if you're watching, shows the first photo captured of Earth from space taken by a camera mounted to a V-2 rocket that was launched from the U.S. Army's White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. Taken to the United States by the dozen from Germany after the end of World War II, the V-2, which stands for Vergeltungswaffe 2. Missiles were used by the Army to improve their own rocket designs and also by scientists who were permitted to fill their payloads with experiments. So, this is a little redundant. It had a 35mm movie camera, captured images every 1.5 seconds, reached an altitude of 65 miles before crashing back to Earth, and while the camera was destroyed on impact, the film cassette survived. The grainy photo that we see here was on that roll, one of our first views of Earth from above the atmosphere. Okay, technically it is still atmosphere above 65 miles. Even the ISS orbiting at 260-plus statute miles has to give itself a boost to compensate for drag now and again. But the official aeronautical delineation of space begins at about 62 miles, or 100 kilometers, and that's called the Kármán line. V-2 number 13 passed that mark in 1946 by 3 miles. In the following years, more V-2 rockets would be launched, some reaching heights of 100 miles, giving us more detailed views of our planet as it looks from space and prompting Clyde Holliday, the APL engineer who developed the mounted film cameras, to envision that the entire land area of the globe might be mapped in this way. October 24th, 1968 was the last flight of the X-15, and it was piloted by Bill Dana. And in 199, the hypersonic aircraft completed one of its most successful space and atmospheric research programs to date. And if you don't know what hypersonic means, it means 5 times the speed of sound, whereas supersonic is 1 time. October 29th, 1998, John Glenn returns to space. On this day 23 years ago, astronaut John Glenn made his second journey into space at the age of 77 aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery STS-95. He was the first American to orbit the Earth in his Friendship 7 Mercury spacecraft in 1962. He was the only original Mercury 7 astronaut to fly on a shuttle mission and at the time, the oldest astronaut to go into space. And of course, since then, we've had 2 older astronauts. And who knows, maybe one of us will be, at some point, the oldest. That's probably my only hope. All right, back to net. This is WB5OZL.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, I think we need to take another round of check-ins. We're up to 27 so far on my list. So, Joe, over on Echolink, I've got you, KG5ZMG. Let's see now. Is there somebody on Echolink that I have not gotten? I'm trying to check. I don't know if I have you, Jay. KG5BZW. I don't see you on my list. I'm going to add you onto this list. Is there anyone else that'd like to check in on Echolink or by radio? Oh, I see that Tom is saying Philip K5KOB and Crandall wants to check in. Is he over on, he's not on YouTube, must be somewhere else. Must be on Facebook maybe. Okay. Come now, if you want to check in by radio, come now with your call sign, your name, and your location.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bill in Irving.
Well, I'm still here. I'm just writing things down. Sorry about that. So I have Philip K5KOB, and I have JKG5BZW, and I have Bill. Welcome. We missed you earlier. N5BB. Okay, we're up to 30. Gosh, we only need 12 more to get to the magic number of 42. All right. Well, maybe we'll double everybody's check-ins. No, that would put us over 42 then. All right. The next segment of Skynet is called Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. And here we go. Slide Master, slide number 19. Brenda, this is mainly a Brenda and Chaz show tonight, I think. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key, Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year, out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky in a year. In her honor, we have continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is Aquarius, the water bearer. The constellation Aquarius resides in the part of the sky that is sometimes referred to as the sea because the constellations all around in this area are water-related. Aquarius is the water bearer. Quoting from David Hutchinson's article in the Spectrum, that is the newsletter for the Texas Astronomical Society, what is interesting about this constellation is now that many cultures have related it to water. The Greeks named it Aquarius after Ganymede, who was the cupbearer for the gods on Mount Olympus. The Egyptians associated this part of the sky with the god, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Kumnan, who was the god of water. He would dip his cup into the Nile and cause it to overflow. In fact, the Egyptian hieroglyph for water is the same sign used by the astrologers for Aquarius. Slide Masters, slide number 20, please. Okay, this is what all of you have been waiting for. I mean, tonight we've got lots of jokes. I won't give this away, but okay, we have a bonus round tonight too. All right, so the first joke. My friend can't afford to pay his water bill anymore, so I sent him a card saying, get well soon. Why did the fish cross the sea? To get to the other tide. A police officer arrested a bottle of water because it was wanted in 3 different states: solid, liquid, and gas. Which weighs more, a gallon of water or a gallon of butane? A gallon of water weighs more because butane is a lighter fluid. Oh, come on, these are funny, aren't they? Why do sharks only swim in salt water? Because pepper water makes them sneeze. A man walked past 3 sources of water, and he said, well. Oh, slide number 21, please, because we have bonus jokes, because tomorrow is Halloween. Okay, what is a vampire's favorite fruit? I'm going to let you try to answer over here on Echolink. Come on, what is a vampire's favorite fruit? You can type faster. Blood orange is a good answer, JJ, but I have a better answer, I believe. A nectarine. Get it? Nectarine. Okay, fine. What does a dessert, what kind of a dessert does a ghost like? Ice cream. Okay, all right. Here's another one. This should be easy. How do you fix a broken pumpkin? With a pumpkin patch, of course. Why did the skeleton not cross the road? Oh, thank you, Melissa. I like your answer so bad. Thank you, yeah. Oh, why did the skeleton not cross the road? Because he didn't have the guts. Okay, there was this other skeleton. Why did that other skeleton cross the road? To get to the body shop. And the last one in this batch of jokes, what do you get when you cross a snowman and a vampire? Frostbite. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 22, please. Theta Aquarii consists of 2 type F2 supergiants of nearly equal brightness. So in a telescope, it looks like 2 identical or nearby identical stars in a binary pair. It looks like 2 eyeballs staring back at you. Ooh, isn't that appropriate for Halloween? Although its duplicitous nature has been known since about 1777, Zeta was first recognized as a true binary star by William Herschel in 1804, based on observations he had made starting in 1779. Burnham's Celestial Handbook lists Zeta as about 75 light years in distance. It also cites research by Dr. K. Strand that shows a third unseen component by most telescopes of the system, which appears to be orbiting the B component of the star. The brightest components are called A, and usually the second brightest is B. And it's believed to be a red dwarf star, this third component. Slide Master, slide number 23, please. M2 is a globular cluster. It is an easy object for binoculars and small telescopes. It looks like a little ball of glowing mist in a 2-inch telescope. According to Robert Burnham, Jr., the late task member Rick Roche called M2 a fine object in an almost void region of the sky. Rick wrote the Constellation of the Month articles for the TASS spectrum. Again, that's the TASS, the Texas Astronomical Society newsletter. He wrote the Constellation of the Month forecast from 1991 until 2005. Though M2 is easy to see once you found it, Stephen J. O'Meara notes that it can be somewhat hard to find without setting circles or a go-to telescope because it lies in a sparse region of the sky with no easy guide stars. O'Meara also notes that M2 is interesting to watch over a 2-week period of time because it contains a prominent variable star that alters the cluster's appearance. The star varies from 12.5 magnitude to 14th magnitude over about 11 days. The star is located on the eastern edge of the cluster, just slightly north of the center. Slide number 24, please. M73 is a small grouping of 4 stars not far from M72. It is merely a small telescopic asterism. It's not a true open cluster or multiple star system. It was proven by research conducted in the years 2000 and 2001 using spectral data giving radial velocity measurements as well as proper motion data from the Tycho 2 catalog. All of this is noted in a detail in the Annals of Deep Sky by Jeff Knipe and Dennis Webb. M73 is simply 4 stars together in a Y-shaped group. Messier believed them to be surrounded by nebulosity, but this has been proven to be an illusion, as many groups of 2 stars or more look fuzzy in small telescopes. Accordingly, M73, Rick Ross wrote that, with the possible exception of M40, a bland double star, this is probably the most disappointing Messier object. Slide number 25, please. NGC 7293 is also known as the Helix Nebula. It's pretty famous. At 522 light years away, the Helix is widely regarded as the nearest planetary nebula in our to our solar system. Its angular size extends across a fairly large field of view area compared to most deep sky objects. This is particularly notable when you consider that many planetary nebula appear quite small and even star-like under fair amounts of magnification. Image looking as big as a first quarter moon is how big the Helix looks. The Helix is visible in binoculars and low-powered telescopes from dark sky sites. So far as known, the Helix is the only planetary nebula where gaseous knots have been observed with comet-like tails, apparently blown off by radiation and stellar wind from the nebula's central star. These features have long been known from ground-based observatories, but observations from the Hubble Space Telescope increased their number from a few hundred to over 3,500 of them that have been seen. Slide number 26, please. NGC 7009 is also known as the Saturn Nebula. It's very close to M72 and 73. Despite this, the fact that it is a very large and a bright planetary nebula, it was overlooked by Messier. Instead, it was discovered by William Herschel in 1782. Lord Rosse named it the Saturn Nebula in 1850 from the ring-like extensions on either side, which resemble the rings of the planet Saturn when seen nearly edge-on. Unlike the Helix, which requires dark skies to see well, the Saturn Nebula is fairly bright, can be observed from city skies, which earns its place in the Urban Observing Club of the Astronomical League. It shows up well in an 8 to 10 inch or larger telescope. Burnham's Celestial Handbook notes that the ring extension may be glimpsed in a 10-inch telescope under dark skies. The Astronomical League Observing Guide to the Herschel objects describes Saturn Nebula as having a blue tint showing some elongation, large and opaque, in an 8-inch Starliner Newtonian telescope at 96 power. Wow, that's a detailed explanation that the Astronomical League had of that object. Slide master, slide number 27. Planet Neptune is worth mentioning here because it is currently found in Aquarius. At magnitude 7.8, Neptune is too dim to see with the unaided eye, but is easily visible in binoculars if you know where to look. Sky and Telescope magazine publishes finder charts for Uranus and Neptune every year, and any decent planetarium software should be able to show you where to look for it. I use Stellarium, stellarium.org, I believe. It's where you can download the software for free. In binoculars, Neptune simply looks like a star. It is so far away that it still looks stellar in telescopes until you crank up the power somewhat. Even then, it's still very small, looking like a tiny blue disk. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide number 28, please. There are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Aquarius, the Water Bear. I've just given you a sampling of a few of those objects. The Astronomical League has about 73 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. There's a couple of exceptions that have 400 objects, but we don't want to talk about that right now. If you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year. Slide number 29, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Aquarius, the Water Bearer. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for their research and words on deep sky objects that I've used, borrow, and I steal every week for this program. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for the information. And next week, we'll be looking at the constellation Cepheus, the King. Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, this is KF5, JHA. Let me see. Yeah, I think our next list of things to do on Skynet are space launches for the week. And Tom, KE5, ICX, this is your baby for a while.
Oh, Chaz, you should do the entire net. It'd be a lot of fun. Just an hour and a half of Chaz. Just Chaz. This is KE5ICX. Let's see, space launches for this week. This comes from, main site I use is spaceflightnow.com/launch schedule. And since these are usually all streamed live, you can make note of them and sign up. Space.com, by the way, also will send you push notifications when there is a launch within about 10 minutes before the launch, so you can watch them anytime that you're in front of your computer and notice the push message. So October 31st, we've got a Falcon 9 crew of 3. Yep, we're going to launch a manned mission to the International Space Station. The Falcon 9 rocket will launch Crew Dragon spacecraft on its 5th flight with astronauts. NASA astronauts Raja Sherry, Thomas Mashburn, from the European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer, and NASA mission specialist Kayla Barron will launch on the Crew Dragon spacecraft to begin a 6-month expedition to the International Space Station. Crew Dragon will return to a splashdown at sea. We have to be determined another Falcon 9 launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, SLC-40, Starlink 2.2, a group of Internet Starlink satellites to be launched. Also 2.3, this one will launch from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, SLC-4E. This is a batch of Starlink Internet satellites from Vandenberg. I noticed they stopped numbering how many there were. It says it's expecting to deploy 51 Starlink satellites into a high inclination orbit, but these numbers keep changing. To be determined, there's the launch of the Epsilon Raise 2. Japanese Epsilon rocket will launch from the Uchinora Space Center in Japan. A Rapid Innovative Payload Demonstration Satellite 2, or Raise 2, technology demonstration satellite for the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. 8 smaller rideshare payloads will also be on the launch. In November, we have a few in November, starting with Vega Sirius. This will be launched from CLV Kourou, French Guiana. An Ariane Space Vega rocket designated VV-20 will launch 3 Cirrus signal intelligence satellites for the French military. 3 small satellites were built by Airbus Defense and Space and tells Alina Space. Then there's a launch on November 10th, 11th, overnight. This one will be launched from the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand, Launch Complex 1A. It'll be a Rocket Lab Electron rocket. It will launch 2 small satellites for Black Sky's commercial fleet of Earth observation spacecraft. Rocket Lab has nicknamed the mission, I love this, Love at First Insight. Then on November 18th, this is the last one I'll give tonight. This will be also a Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral, Florida. SpaceX Falcon 9 will launch the second Cosmos Skymed second generation, or CSG-2, radar surveillance satellite for ASI, an Italian space agency. And that's it. Back to UCHAS. This is KE5ICX.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you for stumbling a little bit, because I've stumbled several times tonight. I don't want to be the only person to do that. And that would be scary to have a radio channel of all Chaz all the time. I don't think that would be good. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll have the next person up, the next 2 segments up really quickly, then I'll take more check-ins at the very end. So, Brenda, recent astronomical discoveries, I believe that's yours. Brenda, WB5OZL, it's all yours once again.
Thanks, Chaz. This is WB5OZL. Well, astronomers may have discovered a planet outside of our galaxy. Signs of a planet transiting a star outside of the Milky Way galaxy may have been detected for the first time. This intriguing result, using NASA's Chanda X-ray Observatory, opens up a new window to search for exoplanets at greater distances than ever before. The possible exoplanet candidate is located in the spiral galaxy M51, also called Whirlpool Galaxy because of its distinctive profile. Exoplanets are defined as planets outside of our solar system. Until now, astronomers have found all other known exoplanets and exoplanet candidates in the Milky Way galaxy, almost all of them less than 3,000 light years from the Earth. An exoplanet in M51 would be about 28 million light years away, meaning it would be thousands of times farther away than those in the Milky Way. We're trying to open up a whole new arena for finding other worlds by searching for planet candidates at X-ray wavelengths, a strategy that makes it possible to discover them in other galaxies, said Roseanne Stefano of the Center for Astrophysics, Harvard and Smithsonian in Cambridge, Massachusetts, who led the study, which was published in Nature Astronomy. This new result is based on transits, events in which the passage of the planet in front of a star blocks some of the star's light and produces a characteristic dip. Astronomers using both ground-based and space-based telescopes, like those on NASA's Kepler and TESS missions, have searched for dips in orbital light, electromagnetic radiation humans can see, and enabling the discovery of thousands of planets. Stefano and colleagues have instead searched for dips in the brightness of X-rays received from X-ray bright binaries. These luminous systems typically contain a neutron star or black hole pulling in gas from a closely orbiting companion star. The material near the neutron star or black hole becomes superheated and glows in X-rays. Because the region producing bright X-rays is small, a planet passing in front of it would block most or all of the X-rays, making the transit easier to spot because the X-rays can completely disappear. This could allow exoplanets to be detected at much greater distances than current optical light transit studies, which must be able to detect tiny decreases in light because the planet only blocks a tiny fraction of the star. The team used this method to detect the exoplanet candidate in a binary system called M51-ULS-1, located in M51. This binary system contains a black hole or neutron star orbiting a companion star with a mass about 20 times that of the Sun. The X-ray transit they found using Chandra data lasted about 3 hours, during which the X-ray emission decreased to zero. Based on this and other information, the researchers estimate the exoplanet candidate in M51-ULS-1 would be roughly the size of Saturn and orbit the neutron star or black hole at about twice the distance of Saturn from the Sun. While this is a tantalizing study, more data would be needed to verify their interpretation as an extragalactic exoplanet. One challenge is that the planet candidate's large orbit means it would not cross in front of its binary partner again for 70 years, thwarting any attempts for a confirming observation for decades. Unfortunately, to confirm that we're seeing a planet, we would likely have to wait decades to see another transit, said co-author Nia Amara of the University of California in Santa Cruz. And because of the uncertainties about how long it takes to orbit, we wouldn't know exactly when to look. Can the dimming have been caused by cloudy gas and dust passing in front of the X-ray source? The researchers consider this to be an unlikely explanation, as the characteristics of the event observed in M51-ULS-1 are not consistent with the passage of such a cloud. The model of a planet candidate, however, is consistent with the We know we're making an exciting and bold claim, so we expect that other astronomers will look at it very carefully, said co-author Julia Bernson of Princeton University in New Jersey. We think we have a strong argument, and this process is how science works. If a planet exists in the system, it likely had a tumultuous history and violent past. An exoplanet in the system would have had to survive a supernova explosion that created the neutron star or black hole. The future may also be dangerous. At some point, the companion star could also explode as a supernova and blast the planet once again with extremely high levels of radiation. Stefano and her colleagues looked for X-ray transits in 3 galaxies beyond the Milky Way galaxy using both Chandra and the European Space Agency's XMM Newton. Their search covered 55 systems in M51, 64 systems in M101, the Pinwheel galaxy, 119 systems in M104, Sombrero galaxy, resulting in the single exoplanet candidate described here. The authors will search the archives of both Chandra and XMM Newton for more exoplanet candidates in other galaxies. Substantial Chandra are available for at least 20 galaxies, including some like M31 and M33 that are much than M51, allowing shorter transits to be detectable. Another interesting line of research is to search for X-ray transits and Milky Way X-ray sources to discover new nearby planets with unusual environments. All right, this is from ScienceDaily.com. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Thank you so much, Brenda. And for those of you that have not been following the football game on Channel 8, the Ohio State University just won the game, 33, Pennsylvania 24. Sorry about that. Timothy, if you're still out there listening, I'm sorry. He's from Pennsylvania. Okay. Tom, I think I'm going to let you do the visible satellite passages over the next few days. About a month ago, the students at Brookhaven were able to watch the ISS. It was beautiful, brighter than anything in the sky other than the sun and the moon. It was wonderful. Maybe we have a chance of seeing the ISS over the next week. Tom, it's all yours for a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Chaz. I'll make this short. Yeah, a lot of times airplane pilots actually see it and think that there's another aircraft in the sky. It's that bright. I only have one pass for the ISS coming up that's really, really good, and that one is on November 8th. This will be a minus 3.6 magnitude, 6:20 in the morning out of the northwest to reach its highest point at 78 degrees at 6:24, and it will fall at 6:27 to the southeast. Next up is the Chinese space station, Tiangong as it is called. I got one pass for that. That'll be tomorrow, 1.3 magnitude at 18:59. That's in the evening. It'll reach its highest point of the west and northwest at 1903, 73 degrees, and it'll fall at 1906 at 10 degrees. Let's see here. I'll give Envisat, which is an environmental satellite that is north-south polar orbit. It has been out of commission for a number of years, but it's gigantic, so it has pretty good visibility. Let's see, October 31st is 2.9 magnitude, 6:43 in the morning out of the north, reaches highest point at 67 degrees at 6:48, and fall to the south-southwest at 6:53. Let's see, let me give you November 3rd, 2.9 magnitude, 6:31, out of the north-northeast, surprise, reaches its highest point almost directly overhead at 6:36, and it'll fall to the west-northwest, to the south-southwest, I should say, at 6:41. I'll give one more, let's see here, let's do November 6th, 3.2 magnitude, it'll be 6:20 a.m. out of the north-northeast, reach its highest point at 6:25 at 72 degrees, and it'll fall due south at 6:30. So if you're watching the video, you can see the paths. It does include a chart that you can use to figure out exactly where it is in the sky. All you need is a compass or to know where north-south is, and you should be able to find the satellites fairly easily, at least when they're moving in the sky, if it isn't too cloudy, or not cloudy at all, as long as it isn't too dim. Back to you, Chaz, KE5ICX.
Thank you so much, Tom. And for those that don't know, Tom was inspired to start Skynet back a long time ago. It got started in 2012. I got to be the astronomer that he chose to help out with it. So anyway, so do we have any last-minute check-ins tonight for Skynet? This is going to be the final call. I need your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location. Please go slowly, please. It takes me a while to write these things down.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa, Tom in Irving.
Oh, I have to do this. Tom, I recognize you. How is the s'more cooking tonight?
Actually went pretty well. Unfortunately, some of you guys who would have made it last night couldn't make it tonight, but we'll have to do it again sometime. We'll talk more in a bit. This is N5HYP.
Normal state.
I've never been accused of normal state before. Okay, thank you, Tom. Tonight, we had 31. We didn't make it to the 42. We had 31 hams participating on the air. Thank you for all that checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration on this net. The sky is never the limit. We always look forward to net control stations for this and all other DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this, hey, if I can do net control, you can too. You can just send an email to nets@w5fc.org. And you can follow topics and discussions about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org. At the conclusion of this net, until next Saturday night, with a different, and I'm sure much better net control station. This is KF5JHA, and this is Chaz. I'll be closing the net at 22:30:20 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. Have a good night. 73, everyone.
And this is N5HYP. I'm going to be the net control for the Afterglow movie net tonight after doing a s'mores outing. And the movie for tonight will be Max Headroom, 20 Minutes into the Future, the 1985 British, kind of made for British TV Channel 4 presentation that kind of gave the backstory for the computer animated TV character Max Headroom. You are invited to participate in just a couple of minutes. We'll let the net rest and let the repeater cool down for just a little bit, and we'll be back shortly. This is N5HYP.
KC3CDU, KC3CDU from W5GUS. Timothy, are you still there on frequency? Nothing heard. W5GUS clear.
Good evening. It is, 1 minute late, actually. 10:36, and it's time for the Afterglow Movie Net. This is Tom, N5HYP. I'm going to be your net control this evening, and we are going to review the 1985 British movie for television called Max Headroom, 20 Minutes into the Future. A concept which got picked up a couple of years later by ABC television here in the States and was kind of a short-run series from late 1987 through early 1988. Some of us got a chance to see it in person this evening. We were going to do that last night, but the winds, wasn't sure what to do with them, so I wasn't going to do an outside fire and screening thing, but we postponed it to tonight. We did have Jay Cox and Miss Billy and Holly I and my daughter Anna all sat outside, had a fun time, watched the movie, and we also watched an episode of the ABC series. But we want to see how many of you would like to participate in this net, and if you have seen this particular presentation, or if you have memories of the ABC Max Headroom series, we would love to hear from you and have you be a part of this net tonight. We will talk about the plot and characters and special effects. Probably, I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm going to open it up and let anybody talk about anything they want at any time related to this fine flick. But first of all, let's do some check-ins now. This is N5HYP. Who's out there? And you need to tell me your call sign, your name, and did you see either the British movie, the television series lately, or if you have memories of it. This is N5HYP. Please come now.
Kilo 1, Golf Bravo Delta. Charlie X-Ray. Tom. Yes, I saw the British version yesterday evening, and I did watch the series. In fact, I do have it available to me here at home, so I may go back and watch it. So yeah, I did see it.
November 5, Bravo Bravo, Bill in Irving. And yes, I was the other person at your house tonight, Tom. I did see it.
K1GBD.
K1GBD again. We caught part of you, and then KE5ICX popped in. Did you see the movie recently, or this version of it, Guy?
I did not. I carved up for it, and then I just couldn't do it. But I am familiar with the TV show and Max Headroom in general. But I did not see the movie. Mostly I'm just living vicariously through the s'mores over the radio. K1GBD.
And very good, eh? Very good, living vicariously. But there's no calories that way. And, yes, Bill, I am sorry. I failed to mention that you came out as well. So we had Bill and Billy and Holly and Tom and Anna and Jay Cox. So we had a nice little crowd. It was a good night. Anybody else would like to check into this net right now? Please do so. This is N5HYP.
W5 BLT, W5 Bravo Lima Tango. Bill, Garland, no traffic, did not see the movie. We'll just listen.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. Name is Brenda. I did see the movie.
So I got W5BLT. He did not see the movie. By the way, Guy did not see the movie, but that's okay. And WB5OZL, Miss Brenda, yes, she did. Very good. One more crack. See if anybody's out there would like to. And Echolink, too. I need to make a call for that. I'm not looking at Echolink at the moment, so I'm going to wait for a little while here and see if any Echolink check-ins show up. This is N5HYP.
Bravo Zulu Whiskey, Jane or Westford. I might actually be going from Echolink to radio due to slight issues in the internet over here, but I'll explain that later. KQ5BGW, I did see it, of course. Obviously, I was there. KQ5BGW.
KG5BZW, yes, he saw the movie, and yes, he was there. Miss Billy had to drive all the way up to Sherman, so I'm suspecting that she may be still on the road yet, not able to kick on Echolink, or not at this point, probably not able to get in RF-wise to the repeater either, but we'll give an opportunity for her to pop in later on. So, I tell you what, I'm just going to give you a really brief synopsis of what this is all about for those of you listening. In, I think it was 1984, 1985, let's see, a guy by the name of Rocky Morton came up with this computer-generated character called Max Headroom. It was ostensibly for British television to be a music video host, kind of a strange little comedic foil there. And then this movie from 1985 was created for Channel 4 television in Britain. To provide a backstory for the Max Headroom character. The basic concept and the lead character is a guy by the name of Edison Carter. He is a headstrong reporter for Channel 23, which is one of many ubiquitous, all over the, just with video everywhere in a dystopian society. He's a very headstrong reporter for a news magazine, and he came upon a story that had to do with some untimely death of a person in a particular apartment. However, when he gets onto that story, he gets pulled off of it by upper-level management at the television network. He's extremely upset that he got pulled off of that, and goes and takes it out on his controller, who pulled the story for him. Eventually, he's given another controller, and he stumbles upon the reason why he's pulled off of the story, because the management of the television network have come up with a very unique way to compress a 30-second commercial into 3 seconds. But the untoward truth about this is that the use of these blipverts, as they're called, in certain sedentary people can cause them to spontaneously explode. Edison gets chased by some thugs, and he gets in an accident and gets a major head wound. This young kid who is the creator of the Blipfert concept has also been experimenting with downloading the minds of people into a computer and generating their personality in a computer generation. This guy by the name of Bryce ends up taking Edison's mind and transferring it into this computer after he gets a hold of him, after he gets Edison gets whacked in this accident, and the last thing Edison sees is a sign that says maximum headroom so many feet. And so the character that gets generated, which has Edison's memories but is kind of scrambled, becomes known, is known in his mind by the name of Max Headroom. Ultimately, Edison really is alive, and he does end up revealing the truth of the story that this advertising concept called Blipferts is killing people, and corners the head of the network and makes it plain, and Blipferts are no more, and that's basically the end of the story. There's other aspects and some other characters, but we'll get into that in a little bit. This is N5HYP. This is the Afterglow Movie Net Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future. Well, let's do this K1GBD. I'll get to you in a little bit because you did have some memories of the Max Headroom series. And KE5ICX says he has the DVD of the video series, which I do as well, which is how we watched the second episode of that series. So I'm going to get back to Guy in just a little bit, but KE5ICX, tell us your thoughts and memories of this particular 1985 and of the series as a whole. This is N5HYP Afterglow Movie.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you for being at control tonight, and also for suggesting this. I kind of put Max Headroom on a back burner, even though, and kind of forgotten about it. I remember watching it on ABC television back in the 80s when it was back in Detroit, and I loved it. I thought it was a wonderful series, number one. It was offbeat and different, which was something that wasn't going on so much then. I think about the craziest thing they had was, what was the thing with, I can't remember, the detectives with the stylized look. That was a big deal back then. At any rate, one thing I don't recall, though, was actually watching this British version with the Blipferts. I think it was redone for the television, the ABC television, and inserted the new American characters, basically playing the same character slots as the British characters, with a different Bryce and all of that. But let me say this. I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was about an hour long, I think 57 minutes overall. The dystopian future thing is always kind of fun, but what I thought was really interesting about it is how it was kind of a predictor of television going forward. Certainly, I know that we had cable or HBO back then, but having hundreds of channels, nobody ever thought that was going to happen, although it did, of course. The mad rush for eyes to watch television, which really the internet has taken to another level, the same sort of thing. Anything that's outrageous should be on TV or people should be watching, and they do suggest that. I thought that was interesting. The idea, I remember in one of the episodes they said something about that they walked into a crime scene and the television was off, and somebody said, "You can do that?" I remember that being one of the lines. from the television, one of the episodes there. But I thought it was very innovative. I liked it a lot. Morgan Shepherd, who played Blank Reg, he's since passed on, but he was one of my favorite actors in series, and he just played it to the hilt for big time television, I think it was, with his mohawk haircut and his gravelly voice and his girlfriend, wifey, whoever she is, and they're trying to beat Channel 23 with their measly little TV station. That's pretty cool, and gosh, it's pretty much what goes on today through YouTube and all the things that surround it. So this is an interesting predictor. At any rate, I thought he was wonderful in it, and in the series they expanded his character quite a bit, and I enjoyed it. I think Shepard is best known if you ever watched the Star Trek movies. Which one was it? With Star Trek 6, he plays the Commandant, Aurora Pente, the guy with the eye that's kind of poked out and that gravelly voice. That's him. He played the Vulcan Council in the rebooted Star Trek, and he also appeared in a Doctor Who episode. Both he and his son played the same character, a Secret Service agent for the president in 1963, and then again in 2000 and 15, I guess, when it takes place the second time around. And I can't think of his son's name, but he's quite an actor too, appearing in Battlestar Galactica, the rebooted series, as an attorney. Chip off the old block, as they say. Both wonderful, excellent actors. So it really made it. Matt Frewer was pretty good. I liked him as Edison Carter, although I'm not sure exactly how that all plays out as a character in the long term. He's always looking for the story, I guess, beat reporter. But overall, I enjoyed it. I guess I can find something else. I'll save something for another round. But, yep, thumbs up from me. I really enjoyed it. As Max would say, great TV. Back to you, Tom.
Yes, very good, and it was interesting that three of the actors did reprise their roles in the ABC series. Matt Frewer, Amanda Pays, and W. Morgan Shepherd were the three that did make it into the American series. N5BB, you were out there. You enjoyed you enjoyed it, I hope, and tell me your comments, whatever you want to talk about this 1985 Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future. Please come down.
Yeah, this is N5BB. Well, I guess I enjoyed it, but it was very dystopian. And after a while, I was kind of depressed by all of it looked like there were buildings about ready to be demolished that they were filming it in. Kind of dirty looks everywhere. The computers are kind of smudged with dirt sometimes. And this dystopian future. I found it a bit depressing. But interesting concept. I'd never watched the whole thing originally. I don't think I ever watched any of the original TV episodes all the way through. I was busy with other things those years and just didn't have time for it, or maybe there was a conflict, whatever night of the week it came on. But anyway, I'm glad I saw it. I thought it was kind of interesting for the time. It made me think about how everything has changed since then. You know, all the big CRT monitors, the wireframe graphics, most of it was in black and white or blue and white or something, two-color. And the old cars from, you know, the early 80s. Of course, the concept of the The people in charge of the video networks at the top were bad people. Pretty formulaic that way. You know, so this was kind of a caricature of some other things, obviously. You know, it had its tongue firmly in the cheek. I guess that's most of my comments. They put a lot of effort on making the computer stuff looking like it was mid-'80s computer stuff, which is kind of what it looked like back there, kind of when computer graphics was just kind of getting going, and most of the stuff was just characters on the screens. Inside BB.
Yeah, it was, and my comment about this is N5H5P, Afterglow Movie Net. I will, you know, we've never seen the 1985 British movie. I'd never seen it until a couple of weeks ago, about a month or so ago when I brought the idea up. I was thinking about it for doing this in-person Afterglow thing, and I was looking for the television series because I knew I had that on DVD. Oh, and Tom, I'm kind of curious. But anyway, I got a question to ask you about your video version of it in just a minute, but I'll save that for a little bit later. But you know, it was interesting having seen the American version first to see what the British version was like, and actually watched the other night both of them, to see that in a lot of cases they use the script word for word, and they actually grabbed some of the and for the first episode for the television series, which they called Blipverts, they used a lot of the same wireframe animation bits and such that they used in the British movie. So they did cheap on their budget a little bit. As for being dystopian, you know, I think if people get stuck watching video all the time, or Facebook or whatever, they might become subject to blipverts. I don't know. So I'll have a little more later. W5DLT said had not seen the movie. We'll come back to him in just a little bit. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda, you saw it. Tell me what you thought of it. This is N5HY.
This is WB5OZL. Yes, I saw this. Back in the day when it was on TV as a series, I watched it every week and loved it, but had never seen this. And I did enjoy it. Of course, it's weird. A lot of stuff is hard to watch because it's violent or creepy or whatever, but I think that's the point. I don't know that we've ever seen a movie or TV show where TV executives are portrayed as anything besides monsters. Offhand, I can tick off a number of movies like that or songs. You know, it's the head dead yet, and the public's perception of TV executives is pretty ghoulish and inhuman and mercenary. I don't know if that's accurate or if that's just our perception of it. But they do a pretty good job here of portraying them as monsters. It's kind of witty. The jokes are a little corny, but the actor pulled it off pretty well. So, there was some humor, which was sort of a counterbalance to some of the grisly scenes and just depressing aspects. interesting to see the technology, which, you know, now is just nothing, but back then this was really leading edge, and it was pretty exciting to watch it and see how, try and figure out how they're doing things. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to the net. This is WB50ZL.
Your reference to Don Henley's dirty laundry. I remember I worked for a television station, and as part of the Christmas party blooper reel was a music video that I guess had been put together by somebody, some other city, but it was to Don Henley's dirty laundry, and it was all sorts of scenes and clips from reporters and such like that that fit the song. So there we go. Okay. Yeah, very good. KG5BZW. You had a good collection of s'mores and watched the movie with us too. What you think? This is N5HYP.
N5HYP and the group is KG5BZW. Okay, just making sure transmission was good. And it seems to be quite good. Well, what to say? It's weird. I'm trying to figure out where I saw this, because I'm pretty sure I've seen parts of it. And yeah, it's kind of weird in that it really does feel like a pilot for a series, but what we got as a series is not, you know, across the pond, as you might say. So it's because it's, you know, you've got the introduction of the Max Headroom character, who was birthed from in a strange way, well, I guess kind of like the Greek was it Athena from Zeus's brain or something like that. It's yeah, it's interesting. It feels incomplete, but it's still yeah. It's like I really want to mess with see what the heck this new Max Headroom character is going to do now, and we just don't get to see that from the original bit. Well, we get to see it from the American bits, but you know. So I don't know really what to say. Let's see. Yeah, that was just the blipping. Such a sad piece of satire there. You know, we saw the second episode that was the American. I think they kind of kept the humor kind of the same. It did feel a little bit more Americanized, I guess. But you know, it's kind of fun, kind of. I don't know. It's others have addressed the you know, the aspect of the TV producers and whatnot. And there's definitely real aspects to this. It's a little bit more fantasy than I don't know, sci-fi. Definitely not. I wouldn't call it hard sci-fi. Let me reset. Some of the things I want to say about it is kind of aren't really, you know, things that are directly related to it, but it is kind of interesting nowadays seeing consumer. Let's just put it this way, because we have had some aspect of this in movies in the past at least decade or so. But now, I know on YouTube and Twitch and other things, we now have a bunch of not, AIs, Max Headroom being both a AI and also supposedly computer generated visuals. Of course, it wasn't. It was practical effects, but that's that point. For what I'm trying to say is, nowadays there's this thing called virtual VTubers or virtual YouTubers, virtual Twitch streamers, where they're basically they're animatronics, but it's people with a gear on that it's seeing their facial motions and everything. And it's reanimating these characters these people as like anime characters or whatnot. So it's kind of like part of the Max Headroom thing kind of came true eventually because we got that, and it might be, who knows how, it might be, we might be just seeing the beginning of that, really. But other than that, I think I've said what I wanted to say for this round, so I'll hand it back to Net Control. KG5BZW.
Well, very good. I got a comment or two about what you said. You brought something to mind for me. Let's see if there's any other check-ins for the net tonight, and let's see if Miss Billy has maybe made her way back to a place where she can get involved. So let's do RF side first. More check-ins. This is N5HYP. Please come now for the Afterglow Movie Net. Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future. Okay, no new RF, so let's try for Echolink. Anybody on Echolink would like to check in? We'll wait about 20 seconds for that to happen. This is N5HYP. Nothing heard there. It was really nice to see Billy Cheek tonight. Miss K5 PDS being part of the she came down specifically for this, so that was quite cool. Now K1GBD, I said I was going to go back to you. You did mention that you had not seen this particular movie, but you did have memories of the Max Headroom series. Please come now if you want to make a comment. This is N5HYP.
Hey, Tom. So, what's funny is I have the main recollection when I think of Max Headroom is to roll my eyes as a kid of the 80s. I remember it being very weird, but also, kind of like, almost like this is, it would fit for the time, right? Because it was, a graphic representation of a human in a way that was kind of dynamic and we hadn't seen before. But I always kind of remember rolling my eyes because, Max Headroom eventually became the Coke spokesman. But then I always remember right after that it did kind of come from the guy who had the accident, and there was actually kind of a more dramatic kind of backstory, which I think is kind of interesting. And beyond that, since I didn't see the movie, and I think I only watched like one or two of the episodes, I think my main recollection honestly was more about the the technology, because I know that some part of what they did was computer generated. Some of it I think was a little bit practical, but especially as they got further into, I think once Coke got a hold of them and they had lots of money, they were animating some of that character, at least partially, if not completely, computer generated, at least is my recollection. So that's kind of more what I attach to Max Headroom than anything else, than just sort of the... So that's what I got. K1GBD.
You know, it's funny now when you sit there on a Zoom call or a FaceTime call, and there you have data drops and stutters. It actually still does remind me of. It reminded me of Max Headroom, and I think that's part of. And since we all were doing virtual stuff back last year for the pandemic, it became, well, very endemic, that type of stuttering. So that's what made me really think about Max Headroom. Something Jay mentioned, where the technology... There were things about this show back in the 80s, like somebody else mentioned, and I've worked in television. I've been in television for 40 some odd years. Even in the 80s, I couldn't fathom this concept of ubiquitous video everywhere. It was really amazing to me that these punkers in this bus could have a television network that was trying to hit the same people who were viewing the big networks. But now that we have that, we have YouTube channels and YouTube Live and Facebook Live, and people who they do stuff and people watch it. And people and millions of people follow some of these people. That's what was very interesting to me, to see that come into reality. And the other thing that Jay mentioned that got me was about now we have AIs. Deep fakes. If any of you saw the piece on 60 Minutes several weeks ago about where deep fakes have gone and how they are a potential security threat to the United States and other countries in the world, because of how because when computers can actually learn and be trained to use the same speech tones and inflections and same eye movements and everything like that from a computer-generated character to a real character, it's going to be really hard to tell who's who and who's telling the truth and who's really talking to you. Is it the deep fake or is it the real person? So yeah, quite, looking back at it some 30, 40 some odd years ago, 35 years ago, it's quite amazing. Now, Tom General, KE5ICX, you have the DVD set. Do you have one that you purchased for real, or do you have one that you got from someplace else? So my story is, several years ago, I got looking for this series, and I saw a DVD version on eBay, so I went and picked it up. Turns out it was a pirated version. It was on a pair of DVD-R discs, and it was ripped off of the old cable network Tech TV, which became, I can't think of what it became after that, and then became something else. But it was on Tech TV, and in fact, the first episode still had their bumpers on it. It was bad editing. So I was kind of curious which version you have, a legitimate version that actually was legitimately marketed by a company, or was it another pirated one like I had? KE5ICX, this is N5HYP. You're up.
Tom, I'm shocked to hear that there's gambling going on at this establishment. No, my version, as far as I didn't even know it had come out, it was a DVD version of it. My copies came from the Tech TV world. I used to watch Tech TV all the time, by the way. I was a huge fan of that. It went to, I think it was Rave 5 is what it became, a gaming station, which in and of itself is kind of a portent of Max Headroom. So, yeah, that's how I got my copies. There's, I think, 6 episodes in the first season, 7 maybe in the second. I don't know. I'm going back on my archives back here. It's on an NAS somewhere deep in the bowels of the computer room in there. But that's how I got it originally. Was actually watching it on Tech TV when it was on Tech TV about, 15 years ago? Oh, at least 15 years ago. I was at Xerox, so maybe 20 years ago, something like that. So, I think that's what you asked. Anything else?
No, that's what it was. There actually was a legitimate DVD release, but there was a mention in something I read about the this version that had, I knew it had to be a copy when I got the version because it was even replete with home printed DVD labels. There you go. I guess I got another story about something I bought on eBay, which turned out to be a pirate too. Was the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, which was a copy, and there were 2 special features on there, but the audio for the 2 special features were reversed. So you had audio for one on the other piece of video. It's kind of bizarre. So there we go. That's what you get for buying pirated stuff. I'll tell you what. Let's throw it to N5BB. Other comments on anything else you want to talk about this movie? This is N5HYP.
Hey, Tom, no, I think that's about all the comments I have. I'm tired tonight. Sorry. N5BB, thank you.
Well, very good. That's okay. I've had a long day, too. WB5OZL, Brenda, something else you'd like to bring up about this flick, please come now. This is N5HYP.
This is WB5OZL. Honestly, no other comments come to mind. I'm kind of tired myself. I wouldn't mind turning in early tonight. But I have enjoyed the comments on this because I did enjoy it. Back to net, WB5OZL.
Very good. Well, and that's kind of the reason why I'm expediting this as well, because I've had a long day. Jay, I'll get to you in a second. One other little personal family note. Of course, we discovered, the series came out in ABC in '87, and we loved it too. We were both working, I was working different shifts, so Hollywood recorded on VHS, and we'd watch it, later in the week when we had the opportunity. And back then, of course, with the ability to record these off-the-air shows on your VCR, you were able to, skip through the commercials or fast-forward through the commercials. So, because in honor of Blipferts, we began to call it blipping. It's time to Blipfert the commercial. And so we would zip through on whatever show it happened to be. The commercial will come up, quick, blip it now. So there we go. That became something, and that's still part of our family's lexicon, is blipping commercials. There we go. KG5BZW, any final comments or any other comments you got tonight about what we saw? Please come now. This is N5HYP.
Well, N5HYP, this is KG5BZW. I've had a long day too. Had a nap before today, and boy, what a weird day because the power outage. I may have I mentioned at the little get together. I'm still. After this, I'm probably going to try to search the internet and see what the heck happened because, like the top of a power pole just basically came off, and then there's a bunch of the blockage on the interstate, and I also live next to an airport, so I'm like afraid somebody may have done something not so good. But the building didn't seem. I don't know. It would have been a very weird kind of accident. Not entirely impossible, but anyway. I hope people are okay, but I'll just leave it at that. Reset. So, I mean, normally we would do the characters and all. It's hard to get too far into the characters. Of course, we've got the Mr. Carter and his the creation from him. And there's a lot of characters introduced, though. So it's like, of course, the new love interest or whatever. I'll grant the actress was cute, but I don't know. It's just I especially remember except for I don't even remember the name of the TV, but the alternate TV instead of Channel 23, the other guy that headed that's what sticks out in my mind. But that's why it's like when I think I saw that. That's the one that's like, I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. When I think I saw him. Unless he came from, he went to the new series too. He could have, I guess, but the whole story just seems familiar to me. It's kind of bugging me. It's like I think I have seen this on maybe some random cable thing in the 90s or something. That this is we're going on a Max Headroom marathon, and this is the movie that started it all. And who knows? That story seems familiar to me. It's hard to dig into it because, like I said, it just kind of goes all over a lot, but it's real tight and compact, so it's still pretty enjoyable. So I think. I don't know. I've enjoyed the comments. I enjoyed it. That's all I can say. KG5BZW.
Yeah, and on a show like this, character development isn't really what they're. You have characters that have attributes, but that's really about all you get. So, expecting depth, this is not an Oscar or Emmy-winning show, but I will say that I think they, I know Bill didn't Bill was a little bit depressed with the dystopian, and I would sure hate to think that our future is that dystopian, but it'd be scary if it was. But to be really honest, that was rather, that wasn't something that you saw on 80s television. You just didn't. I will tell you, Bill Byram made it a little, early on kind of made an allusion to Mad Max. It had that feel of a rather of that type of post-something society that was kind of coming apart the seams, but still had elements of normalcy, but elements that were coming apart the seams, and that was rather different for American television, especially in the 80s. One more time, let's see if anybody else out there has anything they would like to contribute to the Afterglow Movie Net. Please come now. Anybody who hasn't checked in yet is what I'm really aiming at. Anybody who hasn't checked in, has some comments, please come now. This is N5H5P.
KI5GRH, Melissa, Dallas.
K5GRH, I got your GRH, I'm sorry. Hi, Melissa, N5HYP. Any comments? Have you seen or the Max Headroom series, or especially this 1985 British version that we are talking about tonight?
Well, good evening. I have not seen the movie, but I've been listening to the net and enjoying it, and just wanted to say hello and check in. And happy Halloween tomorrow. And that's it. I really haven't seen the movie. KF5GRH.
Anybody else real quick, because I think I'm going to call it a net tonight. Anybody else real quick like to make any final parting shots, and then we'll find out what our presentation for next week's going to be. Tom General should have that, we hope. Okay, KE5ICX. Let us know what we get to, what our assignment for next week is, sir. Please come now.
All right, let's see here. I had to frantically find the list here. Next week's movie is, oh boy, you try and Minimophrenia from 2019. It's 3 short stories, science fiction related, having to do with the mind. It's all available. You can get it off Afterglow Movie on Facebook. That's 2 words, Afterglow and Movie. Or send me an email at my call sign, Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX at yahoo.com. I'll put you on the list, and then I get the links. All the links are free. Usually with advertising, sometimes not, but they're all free, so you can see them at any time. Back to you. Thanks, Tom, for doing the net. Yeah, I'm kind of tired, too. This is a long day for me as well. Net number 3. Thanks, Tom, for doing it. It's KE5ICX.
Oh, very good. Okay, we'll be getting the email or checking Facebook and getting the link for viewing it for next week. So that should be good. And the cool part is, after we stay up for this net, we get to get an extra hour of sleep because daylight savings time ends next week, Saturday night, Sunday morning at 2 a.m. So we get to sleep a little longer. Yay! Anyway, 73s to all. And this concludes the night of nets on the W5FC 146.88 Dallas repeater, PL 110.9. Of course, as the normal post-amble for these nets goes, you too can be a net control. All you got to do is give it a shot, and it's a lot of fun. But you need to contact info at w5fc.org and tell them what net you're interested in. We have a whole bunch of them, and you'll have a good time. So 73s, take care, God bless, and we'll do this outdoor thing with the fire pit again sometime, maybe later in the winter or early in the springtime. So that'll be fun. This is N5HYP closing the net down at 11:31. Good night all. Bye-bye.